The NYPD is reeling after a ninth officer dies by suicide. A mental health crisis has been declared by the department, and now the FCC is suggesting a new, simpler suicide prevention hotline.
Joining us on the KOGO News Live line, licensed professional counselor Lee Richardson. Good to have you back, Lee.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about this hotline.
Well, I think it's a great idea. A bill was passed back in 2018 asking the commission to look at shortening the suicide prevention hotline number. I know there's a national suicide hotline, but I don't know that number. And when I've had clients that have had those tendencies, I've tried to memorize it, but it's very difficult to do. And what they're looking at is trying to create a 3-digit hotline, 988. And when you think about it, when you're in that moment of crisis, are you really going to be able to remember a 1-800 number? I don't think so. And it's proven. It has proven that crisis call centers, save lives.
Well, just to throw it out there, it's 800-273-TALK. So 800-273-8255, because we don't have 988 just yet. I'm on the San Diego board of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and we went to Washington, D.C. to advocate for this because we do know that calls to suicide prevention hotlines do, in fact, work. If you don't mind giving people a better idea, because it seems like if somebody's in crisis, talking to them wouldn't help.
Oh, talking is so important. I mean, that actual suicide decision is a 10-minute decision. And if in that 10 minutes, if you can reach out and just hear somebody say, it's going to be okay. I'm going to help you get through this. There are resources that I'm going to help you tap into. What a huge difference it makes. I think part of the big thing with suicide is isolation. It's that hopelessness. It's that feeling of despair. And it's being trapped and hopeless. And if you can reach out and connect with somebody on some level, it makes a huge difference.
And Lee, do we have any idea why this is going on at NYPD especially?
There's no idea that they've cited, but if you think about it, it's one of the most stressful jobs that there is. And, I think there's been 9 police officers that have committed suicide since January in New York. And you wonder, is it just seen as maybe it's okay? And I don't think that they know what else to do. I mean, you're a policeman. You're supposed to be courageous. You're supposed to be strong. You're not supposed to need help. And I think that I read on one interview, I read that the father was talking about his son who had 14 years with the NYPD. And he took his own life. And the father said, I just think it was a bad decision. He didn't think it all the way through. And I think when you're in that state of hyperarousal and you're so hypervigilant that you don't think things through.
Well, and it's interesting because we have a very high rate of suicide among former active duty service members as well. I think that it's somewhere between 20 and 22 a day lose their lives by suicide. And these are very fast decisions. And, having a 988, like you said, is it's a much easier, much faster way to reach out and takes virtually no brain power. You don't have to think about it because it's right there.
And when you're in that state of trauma and hopelessness, you can't think about it. Your frontal lobes, the part of the brain that you use for thinking, they shut down completely. And you go to the amygdala, and that's the emotional control center in the brain. And that is not where you make good decisions.
All right, Lee, thank you so much for your time. Lee Richardson, licensed professional counselor. Always good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Lee.